to the ground or to the sky. Flying blind, as they call it. But he's in the air now. Let's watch Bill Leff as he comes across. You're going to hear something very unique, and it's the sound of the propeller tips going supersonic. 2,200 RPM as Bill Leff joins us at the 2012 NAS Pensacola Air Show. Watch the nose come up. He's going to roll it on takeoff. Airplane somewhere around 200 miles an hour. It cruised at 200 at about 175. As a matter of fact, during some of this demonstration today, Bill's actually going to get up to speeds that will be somewhere in the neighborhood of 210 miles an hour as he goes fully aerobatic. This also was produced in great numbers by North American for the Air Force, the Army Air Force, I should say, and the Navy, and the Royal Canadian Air Force, and the Royal Air Force. As Bill picks an imaginary spot, 45 degrees up and to the left of the airplane. To start and stop at the same altitude and airspeed. It looks so very nice and gentle and simple, and yet it's very, very challenging to do. Also, the idea is to maintain one gravity all the way through the maneuver, or 1G. So when he's upside down, he feels physically like he's still sitting right side up. Now let's watch Bill as he comes in toward Show Center. He's got as he dives toward Show Center. He's going to demonstrate a maneuver that was actually invented by accident in 1936 at the Miami Air Races. Len Povey was doing a demonstration, and he was doing a loop, but he got too low at the top of the loop to successfully complete it. So rather than making a smoking hole in the ground, he's going to do what Bill Leff did. A half a roll to upright. Now Bill's going to put an extra roll on it on the down line. So it doesn't really... It looked like a figure eight lying on its side. And when he landed, people said, what was that maneuver? What was that maneuver? We've never seen it before. And since he was training the Cuban Air Force pilots to fly aerobatics, he responded with 2 words in Spanish. With a twist. And now climbs away from us. He travels all over the Western Hemisphere, down as far south as El Salvador to do air shows, all the way up into Canada, and from Maine to California. Over the 36 years that he's been flying this airplane, that he totally restored himself, by the way. Bill Leff has flown over 1,000 performances in this airplane. It does not have an inverted fuel system, but it has an inverted fuel system. Bill comes over the top in this highly polished United States Air Force marking North American T-6 Texan. A separate service, the advanced basic, I should say the primary, basic, and advanced, the PT, BT, and AT designations were dropped, and all trainers were just designated T for trainer. Well liked by those who flew it, including the Royal Air Force. And they loved the way that North American Aviation built their versions of this aircraft, which I mentioned they called the Harvard, when they needed new aircraft to fly alongside their Spitfires built by Hurricanes that were flying in the Battle of Britain. They were also using an American airplane known as the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk, and Curtiss couldn't make enough airplanes to satisfy the British need for them, and so they went to North American Aviation, to the president, Dutch Kindleberger, and said, Dutch, we need some more airplanes. We need for you to build Curtiss P-40 Warhawks under license. And basically what that meant was is that North American would take the plans for the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk and set up a production line in a North American Aviation plant building somebody else's airplane. Well, Dutch Kindleberger said, you know, we really want to build somebody else's airplane. Give us 120 statements to make. But yet, 117 days later, the first Mustang rolled off the production line, and it became, once it had an engine change, it became the P-51 Mustang, as we know today, over 15,000 having been built, arguably the greatest fighter of all time. Bill Leff just rolled the airplane upside down and extended the landing gear. He didn't lower because it went up, but now it's down low. Let's watch Bill now as he is aerodynamically dirty. This airplane is now being subjected to an excessive amount of drag because the wheels are down, and also the wheel wells are causing turbulence. Aerodynamically dirty. These airplanes served so well that even at the beginning of the jet age in the Korean War, the ability of the Texan to fly very low and slow made it a very good forward air controller. Watch Bill Leff now as he slows down to about 65 miles an hour. Remember, this airplane weighs 5,500 pounds, and he's got it slowing down to about 65 miles an hour. Give a nice round of applause to Bill Leff for handling the airplane at minimum controllable airspeed. During the beginning of the jet age in the Korean War, that first war where jets were flown, those jets, when they were in ground attack roles, were having a difficult time spotting, targets on the ground. So the Air Force pulled a bunch of old T-6s out of retirement and refitted them with some white phosphorus rockets, and then they brought them back into the battle, in Korea as forward air control aircraft, being able to take a lot of punishment and fly very low and slow. Those aircraft would attract fire or look for targets of opportunity, find the target, circle back around, and the white phosphorus rockets, or Willie Pete's, that were on the mounted under the wings, the pilot would fire those Willie Pete's at the target, causing huge billows of bright to inverted pass. He's done a lot of modifications on the airplane, and including beefing up the hydraulic system to get the landing gear to go to be raised and lowered very, very quickly. He also has a lot of wiring on it with dozens of lights and pyrotechnic racks attached on the wings, and he flies a spectacular. There's a 4-point hesitation roll. See the break in the smoke? Got a little into right knife edge flight, and the engine starts to flood if it winds up in knife edge flight too much, and the smoke went away there because that smoke is actually it's a paraffin-based oil that's injected into the exhaust stacks, and it rather than burning with a flame, it just smokes white, and it's environmentally safe, keeps the mosquitoes down at certain air shows. We're glad about that. And ladies and gentlemen, here's Bill Leff. 36 years in the air show industry, flying this very, very classic North American Texan airplane. Bill learned how to fly gliders when he was 14. To earn money for his flying lessons, he had a paper route. He delivered papers, and one of the homes to which he delivered papers was the former home of Wilbur and Orville Wright, the two bicycle shop owners who changed the world by developing the world's first successful powered heavier-than-air flying machine that flew for the first time on December 17, 1903 at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Bill salutes all the men and women of our armed forces who are on duty defending our freedom. Bill Leff will be landing here in just a couple of seconds. Coming up right after that, we're going to welcome Jan Calmer to the show. And Bill Leff has been cleared to land. As we say a great big thank you to our great sponsors on the show today, Humana and Metcare, L3 Communications, the Home Depot, thanks guys for making it work real well. Ground Electronics, Steve Antone, Larry Cherry, Pierre Laquette, Mario DeLuca, Thurman Roundtree, Kelly Braswell. We got a couple of sailors working with him, AC3, Rusty Horton, and also Garrett Bear. Thank you guys for good work. Appreciate it. ...2012 is a momentous year in history. In military history, it's also the beginning of the commemoration of the bicentennial of the War of 1812. Our second war of independence is how it's been referred to by many historians. From 1776 and 1779, when our Constitution was written, a very young America was being hassled at sea by the British, and it pitted the greatest navy on the face of the earth, the Royal Navy, with 600 ships, against a very young and ill-equipped navy of the young United States of America. And yet we won that war decisively and established ourselves and the United States Navy is the preeminent Navy in the world. It was also the war in which, during the shelling of Fort McHenry by the British over a 24 or 25-hour period. That Francis Scott Key, an attorney and also a poet,